This week's parasha is Pekudei, and it is usually read as a double parasha together with last week's parasha, with some exceptions. Now there's a principle, and that is that the Torah is written in telegram style. I'm talking about the Morse code one, not the app. Chazal tell us that there's not a single superfluous letter, never mind word, in the Torah. With this in mind, it's extremely strange to note that this week and last week's parasha are seemingly superfluous. In Truma, the parasha discussed the building of the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary in the desert. In Tetzaveh, the Bigdei Kahuna, the priestly garments, and continues into Kisisa. And it describes all of this with meticulous, if not painstaking, detail, particularly if you've ever had to learn it with Rashi for a test. Then a few chapters later, in Vayakal and Pekudei, in the story of how the Jewish people carried out these instructions, the previous parashas are repeated almost verbatim. Did you ever have to do précis for English at school? If you did, what you had to do was condense an essay by extracting the salient points. You did not rewrite it in your own words. Instead, you copied sentences verbatim and inserted conjunctions so that it made sense. If you read Vayakal and Pekudei, it seems like a précis of the previous few parashas. Years ago, I worked as a journalist for a UK newspaper, and I got paid 5p per word. And with the rand-pound exchange, that was a very good rate. So trying to squeeze in extra words is a thing I would have tried to do. But even I would not have had the chutzpah to try to push something like this, essentially a summary of what was already written, past my editor. A single sentence, something like the Jewish people made the Mishkan exactly as Hashem had commanded Moshe, would have spared the Torah more than 1,000 words. Why the need for hundreds of sentences that are purely repetitive of facts that have been stated earlier? In addition, the Mishkan was, after all, only a temporary home for the divine presence, eventually superseded by the Beis HaMikdash, the temple, in Jerusalem. When something is repeated, it means that it is important. As we've spoken about in the past, the Mishkan was a place that opened up our hearts to Hashem, and that is eternal. It is about us creating a home in our hearts where Hashem can dwell. The fact that the Torah repeats several times the instructions to build the Mishkan and how everyone should be involved emphasizes Hashem's love for every Jew and how everyone can and must feel that it is his or her place to connect with Hashem. Hashem created the world to have a relationship with us, and every one of us is important and needed. And this is so crucial, so important, that Hashem wants to drum it into our heads. He knew it might be difficult to wrap our heads around this, and so he devoted an extra 371 verses in the Torah to make his point. I think we live in a particularly challenging generation in this regard. In 2025, it seems like the only people who count, the only people whose opinions matter, the only people who can make a difference are those who are influencers, or people who are interviewed on the influencers' podcasts. And this is dangerous, because we can forget that we matter too, that we can make a difference too. And so these parashas come to remind us that it's the exact opposite. Every single one of us can make a difference, because every single one of us is needed and has our unique role to play, and is loved by Hashem, who craves a relationship with every single one of us. Good Shabbos.